911, what's your emergency?
It's Deasy. She's gone. The crocodile.
God, the crocodile.
Sir, calm down. What happened? Where are you?
She was feeding Mary. Oh God, her hand is just gone.
In the quiet corners of the world, where science meets the untamed, sometimes the lines blur. Sometimes the pursuit of knowledge, or perhaps just a fascination with the wild, leads us down paths we never intended. Paths that hide ancient instincts, teeth, and a hunger that knows no bounds. This is the story of Deasy Tuwo, a woman dedicated to her work, a life intertwined with the delicate beauty of pearls, yet tragically, violently, consumed by the primal force of a creature she tended. Her death wasn't just an accident, it was a horrifying collision of nature's raw power and human vulnerability. A chilling reminder that even in controlled environments, the wild remains just that, wild. This is a tale of obsession, overlooked warnings, and a moment of terror that forever stained the waters of a seemingly peaceful Indonesian pearl farm. Deasy Tuwo, 44 years old. Her name echoed with respect throughout the scientific community, particularly in the niche world of aquaculture. Deasy wasn't just an employee at the CV Yosiki Laboratory, nestled amidst the lush, volcanic landscape of Minahasa, North Sulawesi. She was its head scientist. Her days were a meticulous dance of microscopic examinations, water quality tests, and the delicate nurturing of oysters, all in the pursuit of the perfect pearl. She loved her work. It was her passion, her life's calling. The quiet hum of the lab, the glint of nacre under the lights. These were her constants. But beyond the sterile environment of the laboratory, Deasy held a profound, if perhaps misguided, fascination with the more formidable aspects of the natural world. This wasn't just a job. It was a commitment, a daily immersion in a unique ecosystem. She understood the intricacies of life cycles, the delicate balance of predator and prey, even if that understanding sometimes felt abstract, confined to the theoretical. He was known for her dedication, her unwavering focus, and a gentle, unassuming nature that belied the sharp intellect within. Colleagues spoke of her quiet competence, her willingness to stay late, to solve complex problems with a patient, methodical approach. Her bond with the farm, with its very pulse, ran deep. She saw it as more than just a workplace. It was a living, breathing entity that she helped shepherd. Her life was modest, centered around her work and the quiet routines of her home. There were no grand ambitions of fame or fortune, just the steady rhythm of scientific inquiry and the satisfaction of contributing to something tangible and beautiful. She'd spent years at the farm, watching it grow, contributing her expertise to its success. It was a place of innovation, but also a place where the unexpected, the untamed, lay just beyond the usual scope of human control. And lurking within its confines was a shadow that would ultimately consume her. His name was Mary, a casual, almost jovial moniker for a creature of ancient, primal terror. Mary wasn't just any crocodile. He was a saltwater crocodile, Crocodilus porosus, the largest living reptile on Earth. And Mary was a formidable specimen. At 4.4 meters, a staggering 14 feet long, he was an apex predator, a living relic of the dinosaur age. His hide, a mosaic of scales and ridges, was a testament to his power, his jaws a weapon designed for crushing bone and tearing flesh. Saltwater crocodiles are native to the Indo-Pacific region, masters of both fresh and saltwater environments, their intelligence often underestimated, their predatory instincts honed over millions of years. They are ambush hunters, capable of exploding from the water with unbelievable speed, their powerful tails propelling them forward like torpedoes. They are territorial, possess an incredible bite force, and are known thieves. Or their death roll, a violent rotation used to dismember prey. Mary, however, wasn't in his natural habitat. He was confined, illegally, within the grounds of the Pearl Farm. His enclosure was a concrete pond, its walls rising perhaps 8 feet high, designed to contain, but perhaps not truly to hold, such an immense and powerful creature. There had been whispers, low murmurs among the staff. Mary was unpredictable. He would lunge, he would stare with those cold, reptilian eyes. Warnings, unspoken or dismissed, hung in the humid air like a premonition. This was not a pet. This was a captive beast, a ticking time bomb of instinct and power, and Deasy, in her role, was the one who fed him. The presence of Mary, this massive saltwater crocodile, was an open secret at the CV Yosiki Laboratory. He wasn't a hidden monster. He was a spectacle, an illicit attraction. But with his presence came an undeniable undercurrent of unease. Over time, that unease began to morph into something more tangible, more dangerous. Incidents, small at first, began to chip away at the illusion of control. There were the near misses. A splash too close to the edge when Deasy was delivering the usual meal of fresh chicken or fish. A sudden lunge that sent water cascading over the concrete walls, making the staff jump back with startled cries. Mary, seemingly bored or agitated in his confined space, would occasionally snap at the air, his powerful jaws echoing like a gunshot. These weren't playful gestures. They were tests, assertions of dominance, stark warnings from a creature that resented its imprisonment. The safety protocols, if they could even be called that, were rudimentary at best. An 8-foot wall might seem imposing, but for a 14-foot creature capable of leaping, it was a challenge, not a barrier. There were no reinforced fences, no double gates, no elevated platforms for feeding that truly provided a safe distance. The routine was sigh, imply to approach the edge of the pond and toss in the food. It was a ritual built on familiarity, on the false sense of security that comes from repetition, but it was also a gamble, a daily roll of the dice with a primordial predator. The owner, a Japanese businessman who seemingly vanished after the tragedy, was reportedly aware of Mary's temperament. Perhaps he enjoyed the thrill, the exotic danger of keeping such a creature. But awareness didn't translate to action. The warnings were ignored, the danger downplayed. The breakdown of safety wasn't a sudden collapse. It was an erosion, a slow decay of vigilance, a quiet acceptance of risk that grew more perilous with each passing day. The line between control and chaos was thinning, becoming translucent. And one day, it would finally snap. Thursday, January 10th, 2010, the morning dawned like any other in Minahasa, hot and humid, the air thick with the promise of rain. For Deasy Tuwo, it was another day at the lab, another routine. Her colleagues reported seeing her as usual, focused, methodical. The hum of the pearl farm machinery was a familiar backdrop to her work. Around 8:09 a.m., Deasy began her rounds. She checked on the oysters, meticulously observing their progress, making notes. The early morning light filtered into the lab, illuminating dust motes dancing in the air. Sometime before noon, it was time to feed Mary. This was part of her responsibility, a task she had performed countless times. She approached the crocodile's enclosure, a bucket of fresh meat in her hand. The concrete walls, perhaps 8 feet high, loomed. The water within was dark, murky, hiding the immense form beneath its surface. The moments leading up to the attack are a chilling blank, pieced together only by the brutal aftermath. Did she lean too far over? Was she reaching for a piece of food that had fallen short? Or did Mary, with an instinctual, explosive burst of power, launch himself upwards? Saltwater crocodiles can propel themselves astonishingly high, leveraging their massive tails. Imagine it, 14 feet of scaled muscle erupting from the water, jaws snapping, the force of its lunge sending a shockwave through the air. The scream. It would have been sharp, primal, cut short. A gurgle, the sickening sound of bone against bone. Then, a furious thrashing, water churning into a violent foam. The air would have filled with the metallic tang of blood, mingling with the earthy smell of the enclosure. Deasy's desperate, flailing struggle against an unstoppable force. The crocodile, in its frenzied attack, would have performed its infamous death roll, twisting its massive body to dismember its prey, to incapacitate, to kill, then silence again. The only sound, perhaps, the lapping of water against the concrete, settling back into a deceptive calm. The tropical heat, the relentless sun. The world continued, oblivious, while within that concrete pit a horror unfolded, hidden from view. Deasy Tuwo, the meticulous scientist, the quiet, dedicated woman, was now just a victim, consumed by the very creature she had nurtured. Her body, broken and ravaged, sank beneath the murky surface. The discovery came the following morning, Friday, January 11th, 2019. Colleagues arrived for their shift, the usual morning greetings echoing through the farm. But Deasy wasn't there. Her office was empty. A growing unease settled over them. They called her phone, no answer. Around 9 a.m., a colleague, perhaps driven by a nagging suspicion, or simply checking on the animals, approached Mary's enclosure. What they saw would haunt them forever. The water, normally dark, now had a reddish tinge, and then, floating lifelessly, was a part of Deasy Tuwo's body. The full horror dawned with sickening clarity. A scream ripped through the air, piercing the morning calm. The 911 call. Frantic, incoherent words tumbled out, relaying the unimaginable. Police were immediately dispatched. Officers arrived, their faces grim as they surveyed the scene. The sheer size of Mary was chilling, his unblinking eyes seeming to stare right through them. Medics arrived too, though their role was tragically clear. There was no life to save. Witness accounts were fragmented, shocked. No one had seen the actual attack, only the aftermath. Her hand, it was gone, one colleague reportedly stammered, his voice trembling, and most of her stomach. The details were too horrific to fully comprehend, yet they were undeniable. The focus quickly shifted from rescue to recovery, and then to securing the monstrous animal. Conservation officials were called in. The sheer scale of the operation needed to subdue a 14-foot saltwater crocodile became apparent. The army was even brought in, their presence underscoring the extreme danger. Dozens of people converged on the Pearl Farm, a surreal scene of scientific facilities mixed with military precision and animal wrangling. Tranquilizer darts were prepared, nets, restraints. The air crackled with a tense energy. It took a grueling 3-hour operation, a testament to Mary's strength and resilience, to finally sedate the enormous reptile and hoist him from the enclosure. He was then carefully, painstakingly, transferred to a conservation area, a designated space for wild animals, far from the Pearl Farm, far from human vulnerability. The incident was no longer just a local tragedy. It was becoming a national headline. The news exploded. Scientist devoured by pet crocodile. Massive croc swallows woman. Headlines screamed from tabloids and serious news outlets alike. The story of Deasy Tuwo, the quiet scientist, and Mary, the monstrous captive, gripped Indonesia and soon the world. The gruesome details of her injuries, the discovery of her mauled body, the sheer size of the crocodile, it was a narrative of primal terror that captivated and horrified. An autopsy was performed, confirming the brutal nature of the attack. Police investigators, their faces grim, confirmed that parts of Deasy's body, including a hand and most of her abdomen, were indeed believed to be still inside the crocodile. The thought was sickening, fueling public outrage and a demand for answers. The legal consequences were swift, though the central figure remained elusive. The focus immediately turned to the owner of the crocodile, the Japanese businessman. Authorities launched a full investigation, not just into the circumstances of Deasy's death, but into the legality of keeping such a dangerous animal in a private facility. Owning a protected species like a saltwater crocodile without proper permits is a serious offense in Indonesia. Questions mounted. How long had Mary been there? Why was he kept? Were there other incidents? But the owner was nowhere to be found. He had reportedly gone missing almost immediately after the incident, sparking speculation of flight and evasion. Public reaction was a mixture of grief for Deasy, shock at the brutality, and anger at the apparent negligence. Protests erupted, demanding stricter regulations on exotic animal ownership. Animal rights activists weighed in, condemning the illegal captivity of such a magnificent yet dangerous creature. Internal reports from the Pearl Farm, if they existed, would surely reveal a lax approach to safety, a disregard for the inherent risks. The media continued to press for answers, for justice, for a clearer picture of how such a preventable tragedy could occur. The image of the enormous crocodile being hoisted from its enclosure, a testament to its power and the human folly of its captivity, became an iconic, chilling symbol of the event. Deasy Tuwo's story is a stark, brutal lesson. It's a testament to the fact that while we may seek to understand, to study, even to contain the wild, we can never truly tame it. Nature, in its rawest form, remains unpredictable, unforgiving, driven by instincts far older and more powerful than any human construct. The thin veneer of control can shatter in an instant, revealing the teeth and claws that lie beneath. And somewhere, in a conservation area, a 14-foot crocodile named Mary now lives, a powerful, silent monument to the day human curiosity met primal hunger. and lost. His eyes, still cold and ancient, hold the secret of that final, terrifying moment, a secret buried deep beneath the murky waters of memory.